The Grand Hall of the Galactic Council had never been so full. Leaders from 1,000 worlds sat in tall, shining chairs. Their eyes, some sharp, some wide, turned to the great silver doors. Today, a human was coming. But not an army, not a warrior. Just one diplomat. "How weak Earth has become," said a snake-like ambassador, his tongue flickering. "Sending one woman to speak for them, insulting?" growled a giant, armor-clad general. The silver doors creaked open. Footsteps echoed on the black stone floor. Soft, calm. A woman entered, dressed in a simple black suit. No armor, no weapons, only a small black case in her hand. Her name was Alina Volkova. She looked normal, human, small compared to many of the towering alien figures. Her brown hair was tied back, her face pale and unreadable, her eyes gray as storm clouds. For a moment, a strange silence filled the hall. A cold wind seemed to pass through, though there were no windows, no doors open. Some shivered, some frowned, but no one spoke. Alina walked slowly to the center of the hall. She bowed politely. "Honored Council," she said in clear, calm English, "I come on behalf of Earth." The council members shifted in their seats, whispering. No army stood behind her, no fleet waited outside. Just a woman and her small black case. The Speaker of the Council, a creature of light and wires, floated forward. "Welcome, Diplomat Alina," he said, his voice like metal scraping stone. "We expected more." A small smile touched Alina's lips. "More?" she asked softly. "You have more than you know." The ambassadors laughed. A few even hissed insults under their breath. A diplomat with no guards, no ships, no weapons. Earth was finished, they thought. "Tell us, human," barked a lizard-skinned warrior. "What does your dying world offer us today?" begging for mercy. Alina tilted her head slightly, as if listening to something far away. For a second, her gray eyes seemed to flash with something ancient. Gone in a blink? "No," she said simply. "I bring no pleas, only a warning." Another wave of laughter rolled through the hall. A warning from Earth. "Speak then, little human," jeered a three-eyed alien prince. "Speak your tiny warning before we crush your planet like a fruit." Alina set down her black case gently. Her fingers brushed its surface, almost like a loving touch. The case shivered, as if breathing. No one noticed. Or maybe they chose not to notice. "You have forgotten old things," Alina said, her voice still polite, but carrying a weight that pressed against the walls. "You have forgotten fear." The speaker chuckled. "We have crushed stars," he said proudly. "We have broken gods. What fear can you offer, child?" Alina smiled wider now. Not kindly, not warmly. A smile as cold as winter. "You will see," she whispered. At that moment, the lights in the grand hall flickered. For just a second, the great chandeliers of plasma and gold dimmed. In that brief darkness, some heard whispers. Some saw shadows moving where there should be none. The lights returned. Everything looked normal again. But the council members shifted uneasily. A low hum filled the air like a song just below hearing. The speaker waved a mechanical hand. "This meeting is over," he declared. "Return to your ship, human. We will decide Earth's fate soon enough." Alina bowed again. She picked up her black case. Her eyes met those of the speaker, and for the first time, a flicker of fear crossed his shining face. Without another word, Alina turned and walked out. The silver doors closed behind her with a heavy boom. Inside the hall, the leaders laughed again. But it was a little quieter now, a little forced. Far above the grand hall, hidden in the black sky, strange clouds began to gather. The air tasted of metal and old ash. In the council's private chambers that night, the whispers returned. Guards reported seeing shadows in places where no shadows should fall. Old names, forgotten by most, were spoken in fear. One word kept returning, Yaga. But that was just a human myth, wasn't it? The night after Alina Volkova left the grand hall, fear spread like a silent fire. In the high towers of the Galactic Council, powerful leaders gathered in secret rooms. They spoke in low voices, glancing over their shoulders, as if the shadows themselves were listening. "Who is she really?" asked a thin, spider-like ambassador, tapping his many fingers nervously. "Just a human," growled a general with burning eyes. But his voice shook slightly. Even he had seen the lights flicker. Even he had felt the cold touch in the air. Some said it was nothing. A trick. A mind game. But others remembered old stories. Stories Earth had hidden from the stars. In the council's great library, deep under the marble floors, An old alien scholar searched through dusty books. He had studied humans for centuries, and now fear pushed him to find answers. He found a name, an old name, Baba Yaga. He read slowly, his three eyes wide with horror. In human legends, Baba Yaga is the witch of the forest. She walks between life and death. She controls storms and shadows. She is the punishment for broken promises and forgotten fears. The scholar's hand shook. He read more. She does not need armies. She does not need weapons. Where she walks, the world changes. Those who meet her either kneel or vanish. The scholar closed the book with trembling fingers. He knew now. If Alina Volkova was connected to this legend, the council was in danger. Far across the council city, in dark corners and private chambers, rumors spread fast. Some believed it was true. Some said Earth had found a way to bring an old spirit back. Others laughed it off. Superstition, shouted a warrior prince, stories for human children. Yet that night, when the wind howled through the towers, even the prince locked his doors tight. Meanwhile, Alina moved calmly through the council city. She visited embassies, met with governors, and shook hands with ministers. Always polite, always smiling. But wherever she went, strange things followed. Lights flickered. Machines failed for no reason. Guards fell asleep at their posts, dreaming of endless forests and cold footsteps behind them. One young soldier swore he saw a house with legs running across the sky. No one believed him, but no one laughed either. The council decided they had to act. They could not let fear control them. A secret meeting was called in the Red Tower, the most protected place in the city. Only the strongest, smartest leaders were invited. Inside, the room was heavy with fear. The Speaker of the Council, the being of light and wires, spoke first. "She is only a diplomat," he said. "We must stay strong." "But what if she is more?" asked a nervous ambassador. The speaker paused. For the first time, he had no answer. Finally, a bold plan was made. They would test her. Send a small attack force. Not to kill her yet, just to see if the rumors were true. If she was only human, she would fall. If she was something else, they would find out. A rebel general, known for his cruelty, volunteered to lead the test. He laughed loudly in the meeting, showing his sharp teeth. "I will bring back her head," he promised. The council cheered, pretending to be brave. But deep inside, they were not sure anymore. That night, under the twin moons, the general gathered his best assassins. Silent killers from across the galaxy. Invisible, deadly. They waited outside Alina's small quarters, hidden in the shadows. She stepped outside alone, carrying her black case. Perfect. The general gave the signal. The assassins moved. Fast, silent, deadly. But then, the world shifted. The shadows grew longer. The stars above twisted, like they were being pulled into a black hole. The assassins froze. Something walked between them. Something they could not see, but they could feel, a presence colder than space itself. One by one, the assassins screamed and disappeared into the mist. The general watched in horror. He tried to run. Too late, a whisper touched his ears. "You called me, so I came." The last thing he saw was a pair of gray eyes glowing in the darkness. And then, nothing. The next morning, the council received a package. Inside it was the general's medals, blackened and twisted, wrapped in a piece of red cloth. No body, no message, only fear. Alina Volkova stood at the edge of the council city, watching the twin moons fade. She whispered to the wind, "Let them remember fear." And the wind carried her voice across the stars. The council city woke up in fear. Everyone had heard the whispers. The brave general, the best assassins, all gone. Only a red cloth and burned metals were left behind. No bodies, no witnesses. The leaders tried to act normal. Meetings continued. Speeches were made. But the air was thick with tension. Every hallway felt colder. Every shadow felt darker. In the highest tower, the Speaker of the Council sat with his closest advisors. "We must strike again," he said, voice sharp and angry. "Earth cannot scare us with tricks." But deep inside, he was afraid. He had seen Alina's gray eyes once, and for the first time in centuries, he had felt small. Still, a second team was prepared. This time, smarter, faster, deadlier. Not assassins. Not soldiers. Hunters. The council sent their silent division, creatures trained to kill without sound, without mercy. They were invisible to most technology, invisible to most life forms. They had destroyed entire worlds before. Their mission was simple: capture Alina Volkova, or kill her. They watched her from high towers and secret tunnels. Alina moved like normal. She visited libraries. She spoke in meetings. She walked through gardens alone. No guards, no weapons. Easy, they thought. The Silent Division prepared their final attack. They waited until night, when the moons were high and the city was quiet. They spread out like shadows, moving through walls, across rooftops, through the cold mist. Alina was standing in a garden under an ancient tree. She wore the same black suit. The same small black case rested by her side. She stared at the stars above, as if waiting for something. The hunters moved closer. They aimed their dark weapons at her heart. The leader of the division, a creature made of smoke and steel, smiled under his mask. "Now," he whispered. The hunters jumped from all sides. Fast, silent, deadly, but something was wrong. The moment they crossed the stone path into the garden, the ground shifted. The stars blinked out. The garden seemed to stretch and twist, turning into a dark forest filled with thick mist. The hunters' invisibility devices failed. Their weapons turned to rust in their hands. Panic spread through them. They tried to fall back, but there were no exits. Only trees and shadows, and a woman standing calmly under the ancient tree. Alina picked up her black case. She opened it slowly. The hunters screamed. From the case, something crawled out. It was not a weapon. It was not a machine. It was something older than memory. A black shape moving like smoke and bone, with burning eyes that stared into the soul. The hunters tried to run. One by one, they were swallowed by the mist. Their screams echoed through the twisted forest. The leader of the Silent Division fell to his knees. He begged. He cried. Alina walked toward him. Her steps were slow, soft, almost gentle. She knelt in front of him and whispered, "You forgot fear. You forgot respect. Now you will remember." She placed a small stone in his hand. A cold, heavy stone with strange carvings. The leader vanished into dust. The mist cleared. The stars returned. Alina stood alone again in the quiet garden. The black case closed with a soft click. Far away, in the council tower, alarms blared. The Silent Division had disappeared completely. No trace left behind. The Speaker of the Council stared out at the dark sky, feeling the heavy weight of failure. He knew now, this was no normal diplomat. This was no human weapon. This was something else. A ghost. A nightmare. A legend. The name echoed in his mind like a curse. Baba Yaga. He called an emergency meeting. Only 10 leaders showed up. The rest had already fled the city. "We must stop her," the speaker said. "But how do you kill a myth?" No one had an answer. Meanwhile, on the edge of the council city, Alina walked quietly. She looked at the towers, the lights, the proud alien banners. She smiled. "The first test is over," she whispered. Above her, storm clouds gathered, black and angry. The real storm had just begun. The council city trembled under heavy black clouds. The streets were almost empty now. Shops were closed. Embassies were locked. The proud flags of the council hung limp and forgotten. Everyone was afraid. Whispers about Alina Volkova spread like wildfire. Some called her a ghost. Some said she was a weapon created by Earth's secret science. Others believed she was Baba Yaga herself, the witch from the old human legends. No one dared speak her name too loudly. In a hidden chamber deep under the council tower, a few leaders gathered for one last plan. "We cannot defeat her with armies," said the speaker, his voice weak. "We cannot hunt her with assassins. Then we must understand her," hissed a shadowy advisor. "Find out what power she carries and take it." All eyes turned to the black case she always carried. It had never left her side. It had survived every attack, untouched. "What is inside that case?" a trembling ambassador asked. No one knew. Some guessed it was a weapon. Some said it was a living creature. Some feared it was a door to another world. The council decided. They must steal the case. One last team was formed. Not fighters. Not hunters. Thieves. The best thieves of the galaxy. Masters of silence and speed. They were promised riches beyond imagination, if they succeeded. But none of them were told the full truth. This mission could cost them more than their lives. That night, under the stormy sky, the thieves moved. Alina was staying in a simple house near the outer wall of the city. No guards, no traps. It looked too easy. The leader of the thieves, a small cat-like creature named Corin, crept up to the window. Inside, he saw Alina sitting by a small fire, reading an old book. The black case rested on a table beside her. Unlocked? Unattended? Corin smiled. This would be simple. He signaled his team. They slipped inside without a sound. Elena did not move. She kept reading, as if she had not heard them. Step by step, Corin approached the table. His heart pounded in his chest. The black case seemed to call to him, whispering in a language he did not understand. He reached out. His fingers brushed the cold metal. For a moment, nothing happened. Corin lifted the case. Victory. But then, the room changed. The fire flickered and died. The walls stretched and melted into thick trees. The roof vanished, revealing a sky full of swirling dark clouds. The other thieves disappeared one by one, swallowed by the mist. Corin stood alone, the case heavy in his hands. Elena closed her book slowly. She stood up and turned to face him. Her gray eyes were no longer calm. They burned with cold fire. "You should not have touched it," she said softly. Corin tried to run, but his legs would not move. Elena walked to him and opened the case. Corin screamed. Inside the case was not a weapon, not a machine. It was a forest. A living forest, endless and dark. Inside it, things moved. Things with eyes that glowed like coals. Things that whispered his name. The forest reached out. Cold vines wrapped around Corin, pulling him inside. He dropped the case, but it was too late. With one final cry, he vanished into the darkness. The case closed itself with a soft click. The room returned to normal. The fire burned brightly again. The walls were just walls. The roof was back. Elena picked up the black case and brushed dust from its surface. She whispered to it, "Sleep now." From inside the case, a soft rustling sound answered her, almost like breathing. Outside, thunder rumbled across the dark sky. Far above in the council tower, the speaker watched from a hidden camera. He saw everything. He fell back in his chair, trembling. The black case was no weapon. It was a prison. A prison for something ancient and hungry. And Elena Volkova was its master. Or its keeper. Or maybe its servant. The speaker knew then. They had made a terrible mistake. Elena was not just a diplomat. She was a warning. A gatekeeper. And now the gate had been opened. The council had one last chance. Fight or run. But whatever choice they made, it might already be too late. Outside in the storm, a dark shape moved through the clouds. A shadow with 1,000 eyes. Watching, waiting, and it was hungry. The council had only one choice left. Fight or flee. But deep down they knew that running wasn't an option. In the high dark towers of the council city, the speaker of the council met with the last few brave leaders. The city was empty. Most of the ambassadors had already gone into hiding. The soldiers who remained were too afraid to fight. "She is more than a diplomat," the speaker said, his voice shaking. "She is a force. We have to stop her, or we'll all die." A harsh silence filled the room. "How do we stop her?" asked the general, his eyes cold and empty. "We tried everything. We sent our best soldiers. We sent assassins. We sent thieves. And all failed," the speaker finished for him. Everyone in the room knew the truth. The silent forest inside the black case to whispers in the dark. Elena was something the galaxy had never faced. Something old, something powerful. One leader, a proud alien with scales like metal, slammed his fist on the table. "We still have one weapon left. We have the secret weapon." The room fell quiet. The secret weapon. The last hope of the council. The weapon was stored deep under the council city in a hidden vault protected by advanced shields and traps. It was a device unlike anything in the galaxy. A machine built to destroy entire worlds. The council had created it during the early years of the war with Earth. But no one had ever used it. No one had dared. "Let's use it," the general said. "We have no choice." The speaker hesitated, but then nodded. "Bring it." At the heart of the council city, under the deepest part of the tower, a small group of soldiers opened the vault doors. The device inside was a massive glowing sphere, covered in strange alien symbols. It hummed with dark power. "Is this really going to work?" one soldier asked. The scientist in charge nodded, though his face was pale. "It will destroy anything, even her." The device was connected to the central power grid. Within moments, it powered up, sending a deep, low pulse through the city. The ground shook. Meanwhile, Elena Volkova stood in the center of the council city, watching. She knew what they were doing. She felt the pulse of the weapon, felt the danger rising. But she didn't move. "You think this will stop me?" she whispered to the wind. A black cloud formed above her, swirling in unnatural patterns. The mist from the black case was growing larger, spreading through the streets like a living thing. People who saw it from their windows screamed and locked themselves away. Then the weapon fired. A blinding beam of energy shot from the heart of the city. It raced toward Alina. For a moment, everything seemed still. But then, with a sound like 1,000 storms, the beam hit Alina. And nothing happened. The beam cracked the sky open, sending waves of power across the city. Buildings shook. Streets cracked. The sky burned. Yet Alina stood there, untouched. The beam bent around her, twisting like it was caught in some invisible force. The black mist from her case swirled around the beam, darkening it, pulling it apart. The power from the weapon seemed to feed her. It fed the forest inside the case. It fed the storm above. With a cold smile, Alina raised her hand. The weapon's energy turned back. The beam raced toward the council's hidden vault. The power inside the vault cracked. The sphere exploded with a deafening sound, sending waves of destruction through the city. The ground beneath the council tower shook apart. The council's last hope, their secret weapon, was gone. At the same time, the remaining leaders in the tower panicked. "No, no," screamed the general. The speaker fell to his knees. And then, the storm above them deepened. It swirled faster. The mist darkened. Shadows took form. In an instant, Alina appeared before them, her eyes glowing like stars. "Do you really think a weapon can stop me?" she asked softly. One of the leaders tried to speak, but his voice failed him. Alina stepped closer, and the mist followed her. "You thought you could use fear to control the galaxy," she said coldly. "You thought you could make the stars obey you." Her eyes turned black, endless. "But fear," she whispered, "is only mine to wield." With one motion, she raised her hand. The city trembled. The towers cracked and crumbled. The sky turned black with storm and fire. The people screamed. And yet, Alina remained calm, standing in the center of it all. "The galaxy will remember me," she said softly. "The galaxy will fear me." And with that, the storm took over. The sky burned. The council city was falling. Towers crumbled into dust. The streets cracked open like dry earth. The proud flags of the council burned in the black winds. The storm above raged louder. It was not just rain and thunder. It was something alive, something ancient, moving through the clouds. The people of the city ran. Soldiers threw down their weapons. Leaders abandoned their posts. Everyone tried to escape, but there was nowhere left to run. In the middle of the chaos, Alina Volkova stood calmly. Her black case floated beside her, humming with a deep, terrible sound. The forest inside the case had fully awakened. From it, mist poured into the world. The mist moved like fingers, wrapping around towers, swallowing streets. Wherever the mist touched, reality twisted. Walls melted into trees. Metal turned into bone. Stone breathed like flesh. It was a new world. A dark world. Alina watched the change with cold eyes. Inside the remains of the council tower, the speaker crawled through broken stone. He coughed blood and dirt. His once proud robe was torn and burned. He looked up and saw Alina standing above him. For a moment, he saw not a human woman, but something greater. Something older than the stars. A spirit. A curse. "Baba Yaga," he whispered in terror. Alina knelt beside him. Her voice was soft, almost kind. "You built your empire on fear," she said. "You ruled with cruelty. You crushed worlds for your pride." The speaker tried to speak, to beg, but no sound came. Alina touched his forehead gently. "You forgot," she whispered. "That fear is a double-edged sword." The speaker's eyes widened. The mist swallowed him. Where he had been, only a small stone remained, marked with ancient earth symbols. A warning to all who would find it. Above the ruined city, the storm finally calmed. The clouds broke apart, revealing the stars once more. But the city was no more. Where once stood the heart of the galaxy's power, now stood a vast black forest. Silent, endless, alive. At the center of the forest, a single tree rose higher than any tower had ever reached. Its branches stretched toward the stars. Its bark was black as night. Alina stood at the base of the tree, the black case once again at her side. She looked up at the stars, thinking of Earth, the small blue world they had all mocked and feared. She thought of the stories her people told. Stories of witches, of guardians, of punishers, stories of Baba Yaga. She smiled slightly. Let them tell the stories. Let them fear the name. Fear would keep the galaxy quiet. Fear would keep her people safe. She turned away from the tree and walked into the darkness of the forest. Her figure disappeared among the mist and the black leaves. Behind her, the wind whispered through the new world. Baba Yaga, Baba Yaga, Baba Yaga. Years passed. The black forest where the council city once stood remained untouched. No explorer dared enter it. No soldier dared cross its borders. The trees whispered to the stars. The mist guarded the ruins. And at the heart of it all, Alina Volkova, the Baba Yaga, watched in silence. The galaxy had changed. Without the council, many smaller governments rose. Some fought. Some made peace. But no one ever forgot what had happened. At every council meeting across the stars, Earth's name was spoken with fear and with deep respect. Children on distant worlds whispered stories before bed. Behave, or the Baba Yaga will come. Do not lie, or the forest will take you. Do not betray, or the mist will find you. Stories twisted into legends. Some said Alina was a spirit who lived forever. Others said she was the first and last defender of Earth. A few believed she was a curse, sent to remind the galaxy that humans were not weak. No one really knew the full truth. Only a few brave travelers, passing close to the Black Forest, claimed they saw a figure standing at the forest's edge. A woman, tall, silent, holding a black case. Always watching. One day, a young ambassador from a new world arrived at Earth. He came to offer friendship and deep apologies for the past. He was led to a quiet garden where old warriors sat drinking tea under the sun. Among them sat an old woman, her silver hair braided neatly, her gray eyes calm. She smiled at the ambassador. "Are you afraid?" she asked softly. The ambassador swallowed hard. He had heard the stories. "I am here in peace," he said. The old woman nodded, pleased. "Good," she said. "Tell your people this. Earth remembers its friends, and Earth remembers its enemies." The ambassador bowed low. When he looked up again, the woman was gone, as if she had never been there. Only a black feather remained on the bench where she had sat. The ambassador picked it up with shaking hands. He knew the message. The galaxy knew the message. Closing narration. They thought she was just a diplomat. They thought humans were weak. They thought Earth was powerless. Until they met the Baba Yaga. Now, across 1,000 stars, whenever a new leader rises, they remember the old story. Respect the humans, or be swallowed by the mist. And somewhere deep in the endless black forest, Alina Volkova listens to the wind, smiling in the dark, waiting, watching, always.